Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
So you chose the red pill. Congratulations. Welcome to Escape the Matrix. I honor your commitment to the truth. I'll see you on the inside. Let's go. All right, guys, I'm back. This is video number 2, and I've been working on some technical stuff, trying to figure out how to share screens, do recording, so it took me a little bit longer to get this figured out. But here's the deal. These videos aren't going to be perfect. We're just going to roll with it. The idea is we've got to get this information out to the masses. I need your help as well. If this stuff is interesting to you as we go through it, please invite your friends to our group, and we're going to jump right into it. So originally, my plan was to show you guys like the foundational stuff, like jurisdiction, land, air, and water, and go into, why those are important and how that spells out law and what that actually means. And we are going to go into that, but rather than laying this foundation, which would really truly give you a better understanding, I just want to hit you in the beginning with one of the main principles that has to do with our birth certificate. It has to do with how we are essentially contracted from birth, which is a very tragic thing, and how our family or our mother doesn't even realize that she's doing it. So this is going to be kind of hard to show you guys, and it's going to be kind of hard to believe as well. Everything I teach here is, I guess, for educational purposes and entertainment purposes only. However, I do expect this to upset you and motivate you to look into this, because I truly believe, guys, this is, I've been studying spirituality for 15, 16 years. I've done everything you can possibly think of. And I'm telling you that until you handle and understand this realm, I call it a glass ceiling that you're under, you cannot spiritually evolve. Like you hit a glass ceiling and you don't even know why it is. That's what this course is going to show you, exactly why that is, and exactly the structures and mechanisms and the fraud that is tying you into a satanic leadership. I don't even know how to explain it. I'll show you what it is, and I don't even know what to call it. But when you see how this actually plays out, you're just going to be disgusted. You're going to be upset, and then you're going to want to take action. I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So rather than just giving out the foundation and dragging you guys along for a couple of videos and then giving you, some real meat to chew on, there's so many things to show you. Like what I'm going to show you today is going to blow your mind, but I'm also going to be able to show you, there's so many stages to this. It's just like, your whole mind just goes crazy. So this has consumed me for the last 3 months. I was presented with this information about 10 years ago, and I couldn't confront it. So what confront means is when you can take your focus as a soul and you can really burn into something, and you can like say, okay, I'm ready to confront this. I'm ready to, overcome cognitive dissonance. I'm ready to actually truly look at it with an open mind, without thinking, without all the programming, guys. All of us are programmed. No matter how awake we think we are, there's so much more. Even Jesus had a long ways to go. Let's put it that way. There's even more on that too. But you have to have a super open mind. You have to, and I've talked to a lot of people that I know do a lot of spiritual seeking, and they can't even handle this. Like, they can't even handle it. So if you can't handle it, that's fine. Don't blame me. Don't get pissed off at me. I'm also doing this for free because it's not my job to make you understand this. It is not. I'm going to do my very best, and I'm going to probably do a pretty damn good job. Will I mess up? Yeah. Probably 90% of what I say will be true, and 10% will be accidentally bad information. That's probably true. So this is up to you to verify. This is for you to take responsibility for your own life. And most importantly, this is because the reason to do this is because this is what it's going to take, guys, to set us free. I truly believe that, and you'll see that as we go through. And that's why this is so important. That's why I'm devoting my life to it. That's why I'm risking my reputation, because I'm standing up as a man to show the world, and other people are doing this too, to show the world what is actually going on so we can rise above it. You guys have seen the meme where all the mobsters are playing cards on top of a table. It's like a game of Monopoly, and there's people underneath it like kneeled down, like holding the table up. Well, that's us. As soon as we stand up, the game's over. And I literally can promise you that it is up to the people at this point. It is up to us to actually stand up, each individual to stand up, to spread this information. And that's exactly why I'm doing this, to spread this information so that each person can begin to cognite what is actually happening and then eventually take action. I don't expect you, some of you are just going to grab this and run with it and be like, I'm spreading this information. I'm taking the proper steps that I'm going to teach you guys in this course. Others of you are going to, it's going to take you a little while. And I do expect you to take some time, because it's going to be something that you actually have to embody. To understand it intellectually is one thing, but you actually have to embody it before you can truly start to move through it, and you can truly reach your spiritual freedom, and you can truly escape the matrix, guys. I'm going to show you how to do it. All right. So enough preface there. The best way to start this is just to share with you guys what's called a story of a mother. And what this is basically kind of like a parable, I guess you'd call it, where it explains the process of how they, I'm just going to say it, how they get our souls basically right when we are born. I know that's dramatic and I know that's crazy, but you're going to learn about it. So I'll just start reading it. I'm going to stop partway through and I'm going to explain a few things as we go. Okay, so the story of a mother. A mother, 9 months pregnant and about to deliver her precious child, unknowingly walks into a foundling hospital. Since 1908, all hospitals are deemed foundling hospitals in the United States. The legal definition of the word foundling is a safe place to abandon a child. So right there, it's just defining what foundling means. And guys, the same thing with a fire station. I used to be a firefighter, and you could literally take a child, not that you'd ever do this, this is horrible. You could take a brand new newborn or whatever age it is, and you can leave a child at a fire department or in a hospital. And it's called foundling. And if you really want to study this more, obviously look this stuff up, study it, depending on your interest level. Some people are just going to be like, move me forward, I want to know more. And other people are going to be like, I got to go look at this. So if you got to go look at it, I can tell you that the history with children, and we're just going to call them the deep state, right? Or it's the Illuminati, but basically the deep state. The history with children it's so disgusting, and it goes so far back. If you look at in history, a lot of our movies were made. A lot of our child movies, I guess you'd say, children's movies had to do with orphans. There's orphans in so many different stories, and it's because back in the day, like if you had a baby out of wedlock, they would actually come and pay you. Like back in London, they would pay you first of all, it was a bastard child. Like, it was a horrible thing. And they would come and pay you 20 shillings and take the child. And what these guys are doing with children, some of you guys already know, but it is absolutely, this is just one of 1,000 reasons why this is so important that we get this information out there, because what they're doing is absolutely disgusting. So that's a foundling hospital. The mother goes through a major medical procedure, commonly known as childbirth. She is in extreme pain, under duress, which when I do this, it means it's part of contract law. And I'll explain that in a minute. Often under the influence of painkillers, just happily looking forward to getting home with her bouncing baby. When she is brought and handed a stack of papers to sign and merely told that these are just to give your baby a name and register it with the state. So without full and honest disclosure of the terms and conditions of the securities contract, and without a meeting of the minds, she signs as an informant. The legal definition of the word informant is someone who gives someone else up to another. So, one thing you guys have to understand, this is one of the reasons why I was going to teach the law stuff first. And I'll just give you a little bit here so it makes more sense. Everything that is done with the deep state and in the United States is in what we call commerce, or the law of water. It's called admiralty law, commerce law. It's not even legal. Well, let me rephrase. It's not lawful, but it is legal. And we'll get into all that. So just be aware that a lot of these terms that we're going to go into, they sound like maritime terms, because they are. This stuff comes from maritime law. So, and we'll get into that. All right, moving on here. Thereby, under the false and fraudulent doctrines of parens patriae, which I'll spell out for you guys in a second, as the state is, which means the state is the parent, and in loco parentis, crazy parenting, she unknowingly gives equitable title to the state's Department of Human Resources. Fucking mind-blowing, right? So you guys look these words up. Parens patriae. That means you don't even own, I know you don't own a human being, but you don't even own your kids. By the way, you don't own your house, even if it's paid off. You don't own your car, even if it's paid off. And we're going to go into that, and I'm going to show you guys. It's going to piss you off. But the state basically gives you, through parens patriae, they let you have your children unless you upset the state, because they're already telling you that you're a crazy parent. And when you sign that bond, which is the birth certificate, you're giving up your equitable title of your child to the state. Okay, so I'm going to go on. Forever to be known as human capital or chattel property, which is also known as a slave. Chattel property, that has a lot of history. The named vessel, which all boats have capital names, right? You ever looked on the back of the boat? It's in capital. This is because we're in maritime law, and they are basically creating what's called a straw man. We're going to go into all this, and your all caps name is what makes you a corporation, so that then they can put their laws, their maritime law over you, which is all the statutes and UCC code that we all face, which is the reason why you have to have a driver's license, the reason why you have to file for a gun permit, concealed weapons permit, hunting license. I can go on and on and on. That's not even lawful. It's only legal because of they go after your all caps name, which is the vessel they create through the birth certificate when you're born. Goes pretty deep. So, and then, okay, the named vessel is registered, given a flag, which is honestly, you guys, when they're basically, it's like the mark of the beast. And then a CUSIP number is created. An CUSIP number is an SEC regulated investment control number. And I'm going to show you in a minute how this all works and how the accounting works behind on this, because they're basically using us, our human capital, as the way to fund the government as slaves. And you'll see this. And then you'll have to research it, because you're not even going to believe me. All right, so a Sescovite trust is set up. I'll spell that out for you guys as well. Let's see here. A little technical difficulty there. Okay, hopefully the screen's still working. So a Sescovite trust is set up under the Public Charitable Trust through a bank where issues reserved certificate and is bonded and insured in a birth certificate. So in layman's terms, guys, they're creating what's called a Sescovite trust under your name. And that's what they're going to bond. They're going to fund it and bond it, and they're going to hypothecate it, and they're going to trade it, and that's how they fund the government. And that's how they, it's not even real money, by the way. It's just federal debt notes, right? Like, we don't even use real money in this world. We use debt notes. Real money is gold and silver. But I'm going to explain this a little bit better. It's kind of deep. So, is bonded and insured is your birth certificate. What is an issues reserved? It's a Federal Reserve note. It's basically a loan, a debit. What is an insured bond? It's a United States Treasury bond, a credit. So then a balance sheet is created. So I'm going to show you guys. I can get my iPad to turn back on here. When I first found out about this, I was pissed. Okay, so basically you guys remember T-bar accounting from when we were in high school. So this is just a T-bar. One side's debits, one side's credits. So when you're born, they actually put, from the International Monetary Fund, they put $1 million, which are just notes in there, and they give that as a debit, and then they credit you with U.S. Treasury bonds, USTB. So, and I'm going to show you guys how to look this up. I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm going to show you actually how to look it up. So over your lifetime, when you get a mortgage, a car loan, a bank statements, credit cards, this all adds up as debits. And then what they do is they offset it with credits, what they do is they actually take each time they put $1 million in there to start. I think the actual amount has gone up now. But then each time you get another QSIP number, because the QSIP number is your birth certificate number, but also a QSIP number is your, driver's license. If you go to college, you get a student ID number. That's a QSIP number. If you go to the Army, you get like whatever your number is for the Army. And if you get, let's see what else. There's a whole bunch else. I'm drawing a blank. But each time they put more money in on your credit side over here, and they just keep going. And then what they do is they take this money and they bundle it and hypothecate it. There's only a few entities that can actually hypothecate bonds. This gets pretty complicated, but basically they're trading it without, it's kind of like fractional lending, right? So they're just making this money go bigger, bigger, bigger. And they earn an average of 44% per year, which is crazy. So most people's balance inside their trust is well over 100 million. There's some that are over 1 billion. And what's crazy about this is you, as a U.S. citizen, they consider you a debtor. But as soon as you become a state national, it totally depends on your status. You become a creditor. And you guys are all creditors. You were all state nationals before you were born. Before that birth certificate, even after it was signed until they processed it and created this account, that's when you became a U.S. citizen. And I know we're so programmed that U.S. citizenship is freedom. It's actually slavery. We're going to go into that in depth. And what happened with the 14th Amendment and the 13th Amendment, it's not what it looks like. And so basically they're creating this account and they are making you, apologize for my handwriting, they're basically funding the entire government off this. So what this looks like is, this is the Public Charitable Trust, the PCT. And these are the QCVs, the Sescovy trusts that are in here. And there's 300 million of them, or whatever is in the United States. And this is also, guys, this is in other countries too. This actually came from London. And then this is times whatever, I would say 100 million per person is low. I mean, it's probably closer to 250 million per person. So this is why they can write these huge, massive checks for, like, they don't even care, like $1 trillion budget for whatever bullshit they're doing, because they're pulling out of the trusts, and they're just going to the Treasury is just issuing bonds to the feds, and then they're just printing the money, or they're actually putting it in instant accounting entrance into their general accounting. And so that's how they're creating all this money. So if you want to verify this, you can go into your town. Let's say you live in Bend, Oregon, and you can just add up all of the different budgets for the police, the fire department, the city, the dog catcher, the Parks and Rec, the Department of Transportation. You can add up just that city. You can do this with a state, with a city, with your city. You just add up their budgets. And even if you don't find them all, pretty quickly you're going to find that if you add up the budget and it's whatever hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, and then divide that by the population of that city, and you're going to see really fast that it's like $100,000 per person per year. So immediately you realize that they're not doing this, they're not funding this through taxes. Don't even get me started on taxes. Okay, so this is how they fund the government, is through public slavery. So basically, what they've done is they've said that we have these citizens, which is basically, I forget the exact definition, but we have these citizens, and we are going to almost mortgage them and use them to pay for our debt to these big bankers, which the bankers are running the world. We're going to get into that. So they're basically using us as human collateral from the time we're born, unbeknownst to our mothers, unbeknownst to us, to fund the government and to fund all their shit that they do, which is ridiculous. This is how you spell Susquehanna Trust, and that was in, there it is. That was in 1666. That was originally created for a lot of men back then were going off to war, or they were going overseas. They were going out to sea. They were going out to sea to go to war, and a lot of times they would never return because they'd be killed or whatever would happen to them. So what they did was they give them 7 years to return and claim their minor estate. And so essentially, guys, we're all out lost at sea right now, and we've never came back to claim our estate. So I don't want to go into, the first thing that happens right here and right now is, for a lot of people, is they're like, what, I'm worth 100 million? And in some ways you are, but this is a trust, and we have to explain trust law. The way that it's set up right now, you are set up as, when you go into court, they make you the trustee. That's why they can put you in jail and do all this stuff to you. But truly, you're supposed to be the beneficiary, and that's why when you switch from a U.S. citizen to a state national, which we'll go into more, you become the creditor, not the debtor, and which that's huge. But the moral of the story here, guys, is I'm going to show you how to look up your see who's trading on your CUSIP numbers, which can be your Social Security number is one of them. There's also a number on the back of your, actually, let's see if we can do this real quick. I'll show you on the back of your Social Security card. All right, so what's really interesting about this is the 2 pillars with the arch. There's a lot of symbolism with that. Back in the old days, when you signed it here, it used to say employee, because that's essentially what you're contracting into. And on the back of these things, let's see if we have one that shows the back, because there's a red number. Oops. Dun, dun, dun. This is an older one. Oh, this one might be the one that says employee on it. Let's see. Yeah, right here. Check this out. I'm going to have to move this over. Worker's signature. So essentially, all these things that we're doing, whether it's our Social Security card, when we're going into a driver's license, marriage license, all these things are contracts with them that allow them to put you under their jurisdiction of admiralty law, which is water, which is why there's gold embroidery around the flag in the courtroom. We're going to get into all this. It's so nasty. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. So on the back of your card, a lot of times you'll have a number, and I'm actually going to show you one. Should I show it to you? This is, I probably shouldn't show this. Yeah. Probably shouldn't show you. I've got one of my family members, my dad's actually card in here, but I'm not going to show it. But on the back, it doesn't usually look like this. It usually starts with a letter, and then it has a number. So that's also a CUSIP number, and that's also like the bank where your account is held. So getting into all this, the first thing that a lot of people say is like, I'm rich, bitch. I'm going to go get, like, one dude went and got a yacht. Like, he figured out how to tap into his trust, went and got a yacht. Well, guess what? He's in prison. Because as a beneficiary of this trust, when you learn how to make yourself the beneficiary, there are ways to use it responsibly. But I don't want this course to be about accessing money. I'm not going to help you guys do that because it's the wrong approach. What is important here is getting your freedom. And then if you want to take your lessons further and learn how to use your trust for certain things, you actually can. But don't make this about money, because if you try to go after the money before you have an actual spiritual understanding and an embodiment of what is actually happening, you can get yourself in trouble. So there's a right way to do all this. And the first thing to do is to change your status. And we're going to get into that. Status is the number one thing to do. Almost everybody that gets in trouble didn't change their status first. Now, of course, you don't have to do anything. I'm not telling you to do anything. You can just know this information and let it piss you off, and then research it over the next year or so, and then make a move. Some of you guys are going to be more aggressive than others. It just kind of depends on yourself. So let's see here. So that's the bond account. That's what happens. I want to finish reading. Where were we? Finish reading the rest of the story of a mother. So let's just go back through this real quick. So they parents patrie, the state basically owns your children. That's why CPS can come in and take your children, guys. And CPS is the largest child trafficking ring in the world. That alone should piss you off enough to where you're going to study the shit out of this for the rest of your life. I personally think, I know that other people have different responsibilities, large families and lots of bills and things like that. So do whatever you need to do. But I personally believe that there is nothing more important, especially for the men of the world. There is nothing more important to go out and understand this stuff and free your families, because this is the exact mechanism that we have to use to get out from underneath this tyranny that is illegal, fraudulent, child abusing, murderous. I mean, the list is just, there's nothing that's not on it. Treason, you can see it just pisses me off. So, all right, so where was I? The state's the parent. In loco parentes, which means you're crazy. They just assume you're crazy. They also assume that you're incompetent when you walk into a courtroom, and we're going to go into that. She unknowingly gives equitable title to the state Department of Human Resources. So unfortunately, if they want to come get your kids, they can. And they do. Probably some of you listening have heard horror stories or have had the Child Protective Services come in and get your kids. One of my guys that I've learned a lot of this from, his name's David Straight. And he is, the reason he got into this is because, I'll just tell this story real quick. He was a very successful guy, ran a brokerage in Lake Oswego, which is like the Wall Street of the West, Lake Oswego, Oregon. And he was doing really well, making a lot of money. And he had, I think, 5 kids or 6 kids. And he had them with a babysitter, and they were out in the garage playing with gas. They lit something on fire. I think there was, I don't know, like maybe one of the kids got just a little bit burned, but not very bad, like on his hand or something. And he comes home, and the babysitter, I don't know how it actually happened, but they were all at CPS under their custody. So he freaked out. It was a Friday afternoon, and he couldn't get his kids back. It took him like 2 days. He found a mentor, and he found out how to do it. And he went in front of the judge, and you'll have to listen to the story. If you guys want me to post it, maybe I can. But moral of the story is, that's what like opened his eyes to how corrupt these fucking people are, man. And so, and okay, I gotta say something too. There's a lot of people that work in government organizations that don't have any idea that this is going on. As a matter of fact, 90% of the people in the CPS, Child Protective Services, probably don't even know this is true. But when they hear this, they're gonna be like, knew something was wrong. It's kind of like we have this feeling we know something's wrong. Like your heart can feel it. Like you can feel what's true, right? And so I don't mean to talk bad if you or someone you know works at the CPS. I'm not talking bad if you work at the government, if you work these are all good people, but they've been compartmentalized, like to the point where it's like divided. So the people down here on the front lines, which are the employees, they have no idea, because they're only doing one piece of the process, right? And then they pass it over to the other person to the next piece. Like, I guess I'll just share this right now. I mean, all mortgages are fraud, guys. Like the realtor doesn't know they're committing fraud. The loan officer doesn't know they're committing fraud. Like the whole thing is fraudulent. And I'm going to show you that. And trust me, that one hit hard for me because that's the industry I'm in. So my point is that don't judge the people. The people are good. Like people people are in generally really good. They just don't know. And that's why we have to bring the awareness up and get it up a lot further. Okay, so a balance sheet is created, and then it goes into here what the original numbers are that get put into the Sescovy Trust. I'm not going to read through all that. And on the credit side, we kind of went through that. The other CUSIPs that are added later, Social Security number, driver's license number, military ID number, advanced college degree number, court cases. Oh my God. Okay. I'm just going to tell you guys this right now, because when you go into court, they hit your trust, and the judge is getting a kickback, the prosecutor's getting a kickback, and even your attorney's getting a kickback. They are paid to put you in jail. Look, I'm not a criminal type of person, but when I learned about this, it absolutely just pissed me off. You look at, I don't know these numbers exactly, but I can get pretty damn close. We have, what, about 300 million people in America, and I think 3 million of them are in jail. And then we look at China. We're told that China's like this horrible place. China's got, I don't even know. I think it's like 3 billion people or 2 billion, whatever it is. And they've got like 600,000 people in jail. Guys, this country is not free. This country is like one of the most enslaved countries that there is. Everything that we've been told and programmed through the media, which is all owned by the deep state, is just to program us. They say all these things are going on in China. I'll tell you what, in China, nobody steals, nobody kills, because they know. They just don't. They know that they'll get their arm cut off or whatever it is. I don't know how it works, but nobody over there does the things that happen here. And our prison population is almost probably 200 or 300 times based on population of the country of what China is. So which country's freer? I challenge you to really actually look at that. So what they're doing, and the reason why that's happening, is because of the way that our system is set up. Every time you have a court case number, they hit your Sescovy Trust, and every felony count is $2 million. So if they hit you with multiple counts, and it exponentializes a lot of different ways too. So these guys, like, all courts. I'm just going to get into this a little bit. We're going to go into this in depth, but if you look up court in Black's Law Dictionary, probably the 4th edition, it says see bank. Guys, courts are banks. Originally, when our country was founded, the post office, the bank, and the courthouse was the same building. So these courts are privately owned. There's one guy in Utah that's a judge that owns 7 courts. And these aren't even judicial courts. They're not even real courts. So we've acquiesced into all this, and I'm getting a little bit ahead. I just want to give you guys a piece of what we're going to be going through. It's pretty nasty what they've done. So this is like the meat. Now we're going back to the story of a mother. This is the meat of what it really means. Like, in other words, it says the named vessel, which is the boat, comes out of the sea of water, which is the placenta, and is tugged through the birth canal, which is the vagina, and is docked by the doctor, i.e. dock tender. That's where the word doctor comes from, guys, is because he's a dock tender. That's literally where the word comes from. Where it is inspected, and a bill of lading is presented, and a manifest is issued. This is all maritime law. They're trafficking our kids from the time they're born. The named vessel is then sent with a tug out to sea, presumed lost and assumed dead, until it returns to pay its tax and claim its goods. The person is trafficked in commerce. Okay, if you're having trouble believing this, then you just need to keep going with me on this course and keep moving through it. It should upset you. I know it upsets me. While the baby, a living soul, is sent home to live with its mother until it claims its minor estate. So that's the story of a mother. Another thing they do is they take the baby's feet and they stamp its soul plate. And this is why, guys, we can't spiritually evolve until we take care of this. And I'm going to show you it's actually pretty easy to do, and it's actually, you get rewarded. How would you like to be able to, let's see, I'm trying to decide what I want to tell you guys so I don't like freak too many of you out. How would you like to be able to not have to have a concealed weapons permit and be able to conceal carry in all 50 states legally? How would you like to not have to have a driver's license? How would you like to be able to have a cop fired and put in jail for, or not, well, yeah, actually potentially put in jail, and then be able to fine the police department if they imprison you? If there's nobody that got hurt in the crime, you can do that. So these are all things that happen when you get limited diplomatic immunity, and these are all things that are taken that you originally had that. Right now, you're not even party to the Constitution as a U.S. citizen. Let that sink in. You're not. That's why you take a Constitution. You've seen these quote unquote sovereign citizens, which this is not what I'm talking about. That's a trap. They go into court and they try to use constitutional law and they get thrown in jail because they're not party. As a U.S. citizen, you are not party to the Constitution. And I'm going to show you that in this course. So once you move back over to the land and come out of the water, then you can have the constitutional rights. And that's, I'll also tell you, that's why President Trump doesn't have a tax return to show, because he's a state national. He doesn't file taxes. Guys, that tax money doesn't even go to the roads and stuff. That's not how it's funded. So I'm all for government. I'm all for the right government that follows the laws. But when you go through this course, you're going to see how many laws these guys are breaking and how far they have taken what we gave them, the authority we gave them, and they've overran all of us. And so that's why this information is important. I'm not doing this because I want to start, everything I want to do is peaceful. And I do not condone violence. I do not condone anybody doing anything brash at all. If you do, you're out of my group. I'm not going to talk to you. But if you approach this with a heart of peace, and quite frankly, I would recommend a relationship with God, because what has happened here is it's going to be hard to go at it alone. And it's going to be hard you will have a group of people in our group that understands it. But I'm telling you, when you start to uncover this stuff, the atrocities go really, really, really deep. So I'm going to show you how to get out of it. I'm going to show you some simple processes to follow. And it's going to be up to you whether you take action or not. Again, this is just I have to say that it's for educational and entertainment purposes. Obviously, you guys have to decide what you want. My job is to basically piss you off, get you moving, get you understanding this, and then you move at your own pace. Some of you, like I said, are going to get really pissed and move fast. Others of you are just going to say, Brad's crazy, and you're going to shut it off, right? So that's completely up to you. Tune in next time. I'm going to show you guys how to look up your trust. I'm going to give you the information on where to go to look it up. And we're going to go a little bit further into this and just keep unraveling it. Hopefully I'll have a video out here in the next few days. All right, thanks guys. Bye.